So this one that I'll be making is a little different than some of the other modular pieces I'm making because it probably mostly can just look good as a ball. I think if you make like a cube or other shapes, it won't go well together, and you'll see why. So let's start it the way we start almost all of these. 4 nice folds, 2 diagonals and 2 horizontals. Okay, bring all the corners to the center. If you've done any of the others, you'll realize that there isn't a whole lot of change from the other models. Okay, yeah, make sure you fold along this X. There we go. Now, just to make it easier for later, fold all these corners down this crease so it'll go into its shape later more easily without being too puffed up. Okay. All right. You can always look at the bottom, make sure these are all going in the right direction. There we go. Okay, I know I didn't talk as much as I usually do, but I feel like if you've been watching any of these videos, you're going to get sick of hearing me say the same thing over and over. So there we go. Kind of look at these, and this is where things are going to get a little different because they're not all going to be the same this time. Two of them will be made to have points, almost like star points, and the other two won't. And that's because you're going to have points when you eventually make your ball. It's going to be something like this, and these two will stick out. As long as they're both going up, it's fine, but the ones going down, if they stick out, there's not enough space for them. So that's why these have to be different than these. So look at the 4. These actually, this piece of paper was strangely very, it was a perfect square. Most of the origami paper I've been buying from this brand is not. It's uneven. But I don't know how, depending on how good of a folder you are, if you see a lot of white here, those are the ones I would use for this ones that stick out. And the cleaner folds that look nicer, you can use for those, for the internal ones that are not going to stick out. So anyway, this will be for the points that are going to stick out. So fold this down like that. Okay, same with the one opposite. Okay, so we got those. Then these, you're going to lift up and push down like that. And then flip this back over like that. Do the same thing to this side. Lift it up, open it, push back like that. Same with this one. Sometimes I pull it a little bit so it'll puff out in the right way. Otherwise, when you fold it down, it sometimes gets stuck in certain spots. Flip that over, up again. So there we go. So now we're going to open them all up. Start with the points. This is, I don't know if it's hard or not. Maybe it's a little tricky. Basically, you want to see how this side's opening up. That's what you want it to do on both sides. And at the same time, you want a little line here. Imagine a line. I mean, you could actually technically fold this up to make a crease if it helps you, but I don't think it's necessary. But yeah, see how it's both opening now? That's what you want. You want to imagine a line right here. So you're going to open it up and you're going to make almost like a perfect diamond, or I guess like I've talked about before, it's a petal fold. So try to get these as close to each other as you can, closely aligned like that. So it's like that, and then you're going to flip this over like this, flip this one over like that. That'll give you a nice contrast in color. And as you can see, that's a point that comes beyond this point. So those will be the ones you want up. It'll be like this in the end. And you'll have another point meeting it on another piece. Okay, let's open up the other. There we go. take your time with this, make it as neat as you can. Slowly. And then these come down. Like that. And then these. Only these, it's going to open up this is like that other model I did for this part, the one that's green, I forgot what it's called, and just open it up like this. And then these, you're going to hide behind. So unlike the other model where I would leave it like this for the green one, you're going to hide these behind. Right there. So in a way, they are also look sort of like a star point, only they don't go beyond this. So they can exist. And the whole reason why I'm even bothering with a model like this with these points is it looks neat to have points from the ball, like almost like a spiky ball. But at the same time, it limits you. Originally, I would have had all the 4 points like this, but it won't work. And this is also why it's not good for shapes like a cube and other things, because it just doesn't fit. There's not enough room for all those points. So because I liked so much how it looked, you know, every time I can come up with some variation on this to make into a ball, I want to try and make it work. So if you do 2 internal ones, it will work very well. And I suppose, I don't know if I'll do this in a later video, I don't know what the point is, but I suppose you could have all 4 points like this, but I don't think it'll look as nice. But maybe it would make for an interesting design. Maybe someday I'll try it, but I doubt it. Okay, so there we go. So this is pretty much more or less finished. These, of course, will end up going down like this, and 2 of them will end up going inside. Which 2? I don't know. Let me figure that out in a second. Put these down. Put this down. Like that. Okay, yeah, like that. Will end up eventually being like this, so you will fold it like this in the end. Let me look at my other pieces real quick. Okay, so for example, we've got 2 pieces here, and I'm going to have it together like this. So one of these, I guess we'll make this one the pocket. Oh. Put this inside, like that. By the way, I'm sure there's many ways you can do this. This is the way I'm going to do it. And then this will eventually slip into here, like that. And let me get a third one. This will go into this, so this will have to be made into a pocket. That. Okay. And this will be here. This will, this will have to be a pocket. As will this. see this real quick. So if we put this here, put this here, and put this here. So yeah, this will work. So basically, let's take a look at these. So you see a pattern? So I'm going to need to make it so that every one of them is like this. You'll have the points with one of the star points here, and then you'll have one of the parts you use for the flap to connect to a pocket will have to be on this left side of that point, like this. And you need to make them all like this, or they're not going to fit together. Okay, and one last thing, because this is, okay, there is one last step, and that is to, because we're going to want, when we put this in, like this, it's too loose, so we're going to want to lock it. And I guess it might add to it visually. But there's very little space, so you're going to pull this to here, not the normal where we would go all the way. So let's do that. But believe me, even a small amount is better than nothing. If I've never tried to connect these without a lock, I suppose it's possible. I wouldn't want to even try. A lot of things do end up, fitting well together, and you realize, oh, it's snug enough. You don't need a lock. But my experience, I think it's a great help. Okay, another one. And I think because they're smaller, it kind of gives it kind of an interesting look as well. Sometimes I get tired of the really, I do this fold so much on the others, I don't want them to look too much alike. It's just boring then. But let's be honest, most of these do look a lot alike. Okay, so there we go. And now, if I'm to try to connect this one, in here, by the way. There we go. Having some trouble here. Come on, get in there. Okay, then fold this like that. It is much more secure. So, all right, and you know the rest of how to put it together.